Previously on The Rock.
1, 2, 3.
Like, I would sit down and interview Bob Proctor from the movie The Secret, Rob Dyrdek, who, recently his show Ridiculousness stopped after, however many hundreds of episodes. Barbara Corcoran from Shark Tank. Like, I was sitting down with these people to learn about their stories. And as a result of having those interviews, a few questions became abundantly clear to me. I wanted to meet more of these people more often because that just made me just so inspired, so energized, so motivated. I needed to meet these people more often. I needed to be in that orbit. So that was rule number one. Question number one, how can I get around these people more often? Question number two was, how can I become friends with these people? I didn't want it to be a fleeting interaction. I want it to be something where if once I meet you, I want you to be in my phone. So if there's anything I ever need or that you need from me, we are one phone call, one audio message, one message away. So that was question number two, was how can I become friends with these people? And question number three was, how can I build my own brand in the process?
On the rocks.
1, 2, 3.
So it's about $10 and you can buy that in Japan
Yep.
today,
Yeah.
right? Or online
Yeah.
through your website.
Absolutely.
What's the website
Not
again?
directly through mine because there's
Napoleon Hill
something
website.
like 20 different languages it is now. If you just type in Think and Grow Rich, the legacy, you should be able to access a Japanese translation.
So tell me, what is that? What's winning the day or win the day?
Yeah, it's a great question in terms of how you measure it because there's so many different things.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
what I don't understand.
There's so many things out there that are promising you something, but there's no measurable, what you measure, you can manage. It's really, really, as Peter Drucker said, it's really, really important that, at least to me, that you have a clear way of being able to evaluate that ROI. Most people,
All right, return on investment. Okay,
Yes,
go ahead.
thank you. Return on investment. Most people massively overcomplicate it,
Yes.
but winning the day, to me, is total output in the areas that matter most to you. Total output in the areas that matter most to you. And we can
Okay.
break that down in a little bit. So,
But before you go on,
Yep.
how did you come up with this?
years,
What made you think of this?
years and years of trying with
Okay.
all of this, and really starting a daily journal is what made me come up with this, because as part of my daily journal, which I can go into in as much detail as you want, I write down every single day, what are 3 things that I can do to make today a win? So
This is your website, I'm sorry.
Yep, that's my
Yeah.
website there. Yeah.
Okay.
So what are 3 things that you can do to make today a win? And I realized as part of that, if you want to have a successful day, if I were to focus 100% of those 3 things on professional actions, then my physical health would suffer. My family would suffer. So to me, the 3 things that I do to make today a win are never related to the same thing. It might be one for career. It might be one for my kids. It might be one for physical health. And it made me realize that they are the areas most important to me. That's just me. So what's most important to you? Once you're clear on that and those different areas, physical health, mental health, professional, spouse, friendships, your parents, how often are you checking in with them? All of these different things. These are the areas that are most important to you. Figure out what's most important to you today. Prioritize those things. Pick one from each of those categories. So you've got your top 3 for that day, and total output. What are the actions that you're taking today to keep output high in those areas? So that's what, and then at the end of the day, you should be able to measure that. So that's what win the day is to me.
Something that you do every morning and it changes every morning? Or is it
5
something that you set for 1 week or 1 month? Or
5 years, every single morning I've got more than 1 million words written in that journal because I do a lot of other things in that journal as well. I'm happy to walk you through the template.
this is a great picture of you speaking to these people.
Yeah.
Why are these people swearing into something? What? Swear that I'll tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
It looks like that, right? I can't actually remember the context of that, which is pretty funny. I as a professional speaker, I should be able to to talk about what that is exactly. But so I've been doing a daily journal now every single day for almost 5 years. It's changed my life. And I'll walk you through the template because I think it will be very helpful for people listening or watching. It always starts with, where is my energy being allocated from the day before? So what were the things that I did? Maybe it was a business that I was involved in. Maybe it's something simple as dropping my kids to school, picking them up, a gym session, like even an interesting world event.
Or argument with your wife?
Yes.
Or girlfriend? Yeah.
Yes, exactly. You can, especially if it's an argument with your wife and your girlfriend in the same day, you're in big trouble.
That's a big trouble.
You're not winning that day.
There's no way to win there.
So it starts with what happened in the last 24 hours. So capture that. Some clients I've had just do that in bullet points. I do it in long form because it's helping me just release those creative juices for later in the day so I can be productive. So do whatever as limited or as detailed as you want for that bit. Then the next thing is, what 3 things will I do today to make today a win? These are non-negotiables. Do those 3 things, and no matter what else happens, your day is a success.
Wait, give me an example of like, what would you do? Like one thing.
Okay, if you're writing a book, it might be write 600 words today. Messy first draft. My wife travels a lot for work, so a lot of the time in the evenings, I'm on solo dad duty. So it might be relax and bring a good energy with my kids.
Okay.
Yeah. Be calm and present with my children. That's the type of thing. Or it might be to go and do a gym session from that day.
Something you can actually measure or do and accomplish.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. Exactly. And then the next thing is, what am I feeling grateful for? Not what am I thinking grateful for? What am I feeling grateful
that's a tough
for?
one.
It's a big
That's a
big
tough
difference,
one.
right? And most people default to the boring ones like kids. I mean, I wouldn't want to do my journal if 5 years in every single day, yes, I'm grateful for my kids. I'm grateful for my kids. My kids are probably inside the house screaming and having tantrums. And, I've got a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old.
Wow.
So me being in the sunshine doing my journal is a nice little bit of peace for me. But what am I feeling grateful for? It might literally be for peace if there's some crazy things going on in the world. It might be for a relationship that I was able to recently connect with.
Why feel? I mean, because it's very, very difficult.
Yeah.
To sit down and realize how you're feeling.
It is, yeah.
You can think.
Yep.
And it's much easier because it's logical.
It is much easier. So gratitude is about the most researched aspect of positive psychology, scientifically proven to stimulate more positive thoughts. So if you can feel that, then you are more likely, scientifically proven, to have more positive thoughts for the day and thus have a happier, more successful day. So lean into that as much as you can. If you're just doing something that I am thinking gratitude for, it's so easy to be like, yes, I'm just grateful for my kids. It's boring. I want to think a little bit, I want to think a little bit deeper than that. And I want to breathe into that, where I breathe in and exhale. And I know I've done it right when a smile comes to my face as I'm breathing out. So what am I feeling grateful for? So it's a daily recap of the day before. It's what 3 things will make today a win. What am I feeling grateful for? Then it's intentional breath, which is just a tick. Literally just let me just take a few deep breaths, because we never prioritize breathing. And the last bit there is lesson. Now, I fill this out about 50% of the time. It's just, what is a unique lesson from the last 24 hours? An example might be if you have your own business, where you might have gone and caught up with someone for a coffee that led to you signing a client. So in the lesson, you might write, well, catch up with people more often, because that's a way that I can grow my business. So that's an easy thing that you can include in a lesson. Or I did a gym session today and it made me feel better. So that's another thing that you could include in a lesson. If you can follow that journal structure every single day, you will 10x your happiness, you will 10x your output. And so I also start each day now by looking back at I look at my journal entry from the year before, and the year before that, and the year before that, and the year before that. I've got photos in there. I can see the kids growing. I can see myself growing. I can see the bad decisions that I made. I can see the lessons that I need to learn that help inform my decisions in the present. Having a daily journal is one of the greatest things I've ever done. And the app that I use is called the Day One. The Day One. One is spelled ONE. It's a free app, and you pay, I think, $20 a year if you want to add photos to it. But it's
so all
best
of
money.
that, for example, all of that, I'm going to give you an opportunity for you to drink.
Yes,
Take a sip. So all of what you just described is in your book, or no?
It's not. Win the Day book is being written right now. It'll be out at the end of 2026. Yeah.
So
I don't think I've ever shared that before as well. So yes, Win the Day book, end of 2026. It'll be out. All that stuff will be in there.
But let me ask you this. Let me be devil's advocate,
Of course.
if you don't mind.
Let's do it.
So all of the things that you just described require discipline. You got to do this every fucking day. All right. when I was in investment banking, before my first divorce, I guess, when my life was shattered, okay, I was OCD to the max. I had this schedule, plan, routine, and even my home, if the book was cricket, I had to like fix it. Okay, it has to be in order. I have all these things that I did. I woke up in the morning, I exercised, like you said, I had a routine to take the dogs, come back, work out, and then I sit down, write, for 2 hours, whatever, right? What gives you the energy or the discipline? What is the key to be able to do all these things every single day? And also, another thing is, what would you do if you lose the day? You didn't make it. How do you recover from that? Because a lot of people who are like me in old days, and now I decided not to be anal about all these issues. Okay, if I fail, I fail. I tried. It's another day. I can do it again. So what would you advise to the people who are not making it, didn't do it, couldn't handle it? Because some people, like, for example, I used to be a cigarette smoker and I quit.
Me too, yeah.
I quit many times. And I remember I quit for 2 weeks and I go out and I have a drink, and in a party, I have one cigarette and I go, fuck. All right, I'm going to smoke now. I don't care. So once you break that, pattern and you go, okay, I'm going to give up. I'm going to smoke now. 2 months later, I'm going to start again. So I'm going to smoke now. Right. So what is your advice to that? How would you recover? What makes you, come back and say, you know what? I lost a day today, but I'm going to win tomorrow. What gives you that motivation?
Yeah, I'll give you an example that you're not an answer you're not expecting here. I don't rely on energy and discipline. I think both of those are overrated, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
And there's a lot of talk about habit formation taking like 55 days, depending on the habit. I think that's all bullshit as well.
Okay.
You can form a habit instantly. And the way that you do that, for example, when it comes to the journaling, I anchor that with my morning coffee. So I love my morning coffee. I don't care what data may come out in the future. I know coffee is considered to be fairly healthy at the moment. If something comes out in the future and says that it's not, I don't care. I'm still having my morning coffee because I love it. It brings me so much joy. I really, really
Just
love it.
like whiskey. Yes.
Exactly, yes. That's right. So I anchor my action to my morning coffee. I'm not missing my morning coffee. It's done. So while I have my coffee, I do my journal. Habit formed instantly because I have my morning coffee
Connection.
every single day. Yes.
Okay.
I anchor the action that I want to do with something that I'm already doing and never miss. So journaling became easy because I do it with my morning coffee. Now, how do I show up for the day if I've had a bad day the day before? The process doesn't change. No matter what happens, whether I'm feeling great, whether I'm feeling horrible, whether yesterday was the worst day or it was the best day, I wake up, recognize that the day is there to be won or lost, and I make the decision to win, because if you do not make the decision to win, you have automatically made the decision to lose. We're humans. We're not wired for success. We are wired for survival. So by default, we're here to procrastinate and fall victim to things like distraction. So we are not wired for success. We need a process, a set of rituals that enable us to get in the right headspace so we can show up how we want to show up for the people who depend on us most. So wake up, recognize that the day is there to be won or lost, and make the decision to win. The next bit is to prove that you have made the decision to win. So without me even thinking about it, I walk and go into a cold shower. My wife does it now. We haven't missed a cold shower in the morning in probably 7 years at this point.
Okay.
We both do it just to get it done. We never feel like doing it. We always feel amazing. And once you have done that, one simple thing, it takes 2 minutes of the cold shower, you actually feel so incredibly good that the benefits of it are just absolutely insane. So I don't know why people wouldn't do it. You don't have to do a cold shower, but that is just the easiest low-hanging fruit to instantly feel more productive for the rest of the day. And then, get ready and all of that. And then I sit outside in the sunshine. have my coffee, do my journal, and I am ready to go. It doesn't matter what happened yesterday, how I'm feeling. The next 3 hours, I'm going to absolutely crush. And I have a whole day's output in the next 2 or 3 hours just because I feel so good. I have such clarity on the tasks that need to be done, and I get it done.
Okay.
And I have those days, yes, where it can feel like a loss. And that's okay. But if you can audit that and be like, what were the things that worked well and what were the things that didn't go well? What were some things that I could have done? I'll give you an example where I was doing a radio. I do radio in New York every single week.
Okay.
And I had one I remember a couple of years ago where I just felt like it wasn't it was far from the end of the world. It was a pretty small thing, but to me at the time I felt it strongly that I hadn't delivered the performance that they were expecting of me, and it was obviously my responsibility to do that. And I thought about a quote from a good friend of mine, Dr. Jeff Spencer, who says, preparation precedes performance. Preparation precedes performance. If you want to perform, you've got to do the preparation beforehand. And it made me realize that I thought that I'd done the reps, however many radio shows, however many podcasts and things that I've been on, I still need to follow the process to get ready. So it made me realize that I need to prepare a little bit more. And I've been able to do what I feel is a great job ever since. So I was able to audit what happened on what was a bad day and keep moving forward. And of course, there are those other days where something might not be working for you, certainly in terms of to really get detailed on this about some things in my personal life. I've had those struggles around things like depression, where for me, it might be something where I'll walk outside and I can feel this negative energy wrapping around my foot and my leg like a vine that just instantly wraps around you. And I can feel this just burden of depression. And it's very, very scary to be in that place. And fortunately, I've had it far less since I became a parent because my responsibility to my kids outweighs my own mental health and my own, my own journey a lot more. And the things I do in that situation is I focus on things like sleep, exercise, eliminating alcohol, hanging around people who inspire me. Yeah, as I have a whiskey in front of me. It's a great day. I'm winning this day.
Good.
Getting sunshine, getting exercise, going back to all of the basics, all the foundational things that you need to do. And really the most underrated aspect out of all of those things is just catching up with people who inspire you. Okay. If you're in a slump, there's a good chance you're sitting on the couch, feeling sorry for yourself, watching crappy television, eating takeaway food, drinking too much alcohol right before you go to bed, which means you're going to have a bad sleep. So I would encourage you to go and just catch up with a friend who has good positive habits, who is successful. Ask them questions about how they're doing, which means they're going to ask questions about how you're doing, and just take it a day at a time. Win the day doesn't mean win your life. Win the day means a recommitment every single morning to being the best you, to giving the best energy that you've got on that day.
I am so hooked on this thing right now, and I have so many other questions. Do you mind just?
I'm here. Let's go. Yeah,
but
yeah.
I have to go to the bathroom. If you don't mind.
The question is, where's the bathroom?
Can we take a break real quick and then come back?
Yeah,
I'm serious. I have a lot more questions.
Absolutely.
And people in Japan, I think, would love to know all these things that you're talking about, and also here in the U.S. So. Let's take a break.
You're good.
Real quick. Okay, good.
You're good.
Let's do it.
Is that good?
Yeah,
Do you have to go to the bathroom?
Absolutely. No, I'll stand up and stretch that.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
you're good. You're good. You're good. No, it's good. It's good.
Oh, it's good fun.
Oh, it's so good. It really is, but it's really good.
Yeah,
It's really
it
good.
really is. It's like
He's the right, because he's a skeptic.
Yeah.
And the truth is winning. And that's so many people. And that's what this medium is really about. It's really about modeling, right, the experiences that we have in our day-to-day life. So it's
most podcasts, they get on there and kiss ass. You might have seen that viral clip about that. There was a woman who was like, don't love your job your love. And then the host is like, I love that. But it's like, it went viral. And I would have said the same thing if I was in that interview. And the sentiment is not too bad, but it went so viral as being like such a bad example of things. But it's just a podcast host brings someone on. It's so agreeable without any pushback.
well the thing is at the end of the day, the host of any show, you are supposed to be the representative or the advocate for the audience.
For sure.
Right? And in this particular example, it's more him personally, but there are so many people that it becomes perfect. And I think that's where people go wrong in this space. I was just telling somebody the other day, I'm like, the conversation needs to be about here versus projecting out.
Yeah.
So you guys are just having a conversation and he's coming at it like, well, these are the things that I think about in that. And we talked about it before. I was like, so much of why you have questions is cultural, because you come from a culture of execution. It's about execution. It's like, why do I need somebody that can inspire me or motivate me? It's like the motivation's got to come from within. Well, the reality is actually it doesn't. Like it takes all of it. And so you being so willing to be vulnerable and transparent is powerful, right? And then layering what you know on top of it. It's great.
All right, let's get back to this.
It's great.
Good.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You're good.
The show must go on.
Yeah, we'll cut it. We got other things. Don't worry
We'll
about
cut that right there.
Yeah.
No.
So you're good.
Yeah. I
Next
think this is
question.
going to be like 2 episodes. No, I'm serious. I mean, are we?
Yeah, we're good. We're already
Okay,
good.
good.
I didn't stop anything.
Okay, cool. So we're back. All right, thank you. So, you know what? I was thinking like how everything is about I mean, I can say whatever I want to say, and I hope I don't offend you.
Of course.
That winning seems very aggressive. And with Asian culture, it's not always winning, right? The harmony, right? And how I don't want to be like Confucius, but sometimes you win through losing, you know?
Yeah. And,
So,
yeah, absolutely. And it's really important to clarify what winning is. Like, I
Yeah.
think we need to double click on that, like total output in the areas that matter most to you. So Jensen Huang, the founder of NVIDIA, $1 trillion chip designer, he had a really interesting video of this that went viral recently where he talks about the goal of winning is
Yes.
it earns you the right to play again tomorrow. And I love that. It's not about these things like the material possessions. If that motivates you, awesome. Go and do whatever you've got to do. But ultimately, it earns the right to play again tomorrow. So we talk about win the day. The reason win the day is so powerful for me is because to get really real here is that the opposite of that is lose the day, which leads to mental health challenges. And I'm sick of receiving text messages and calls to notify me of people who have taken their own life because they have lost the battle with mental health.
Really?
I am firmly of the, and these are people who right through from everyday people right through to incredibly successful public people. That's the last thing that you would expect. And it just, the thought, especially once you become a parent and you realize the burden that the kids would then have and then their kids would have, it can really feel like a generational curse, almost as if that's your destiny. Not that you should ever feel like that, but that's certainly how you could feel. So that's really what drives me to do the work that I do today, is not just the obligation that I have and the duty that I have for my parents, which is a tremendous driver, or to set a good example for my kids. It's to remind people that they have a massive amount of potential. And if they follow the right plan to make the most of the day, to show up a little bit more as the best version of them that they can be, then that alternate reality is never going to happen. And it means that they can have such a bigger positive impact on all those around them.
Okay. So with that in mind, with our background of being international, multicultural, if you will, right? Australian, Japanese, in the U.S. Do you see, I would like for you to tell me if there's any difference between what defines winning, those 3 things, for Japanese culture or Asian culture, Australian and U.S. that you've seen, or through different people.
Yeah.
Do you see that? How? I'm sure individual are all different, but do you see any difference in different culture?
Yeah, in the Japanese culture, I see too much of an emphasis on work. I think just something as simple as bringing a little bit more joy back into your day is something that would be tremendously valuable. Like, what are the personal priorities for you? Instead of making everyone else's dreams come true and working hard on all of these different things, have a better life for yourself. Like, don't be afraid to stand up and say, you know what, this brings me joy. This makes me happy. I'm going to carve out 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes every single day to do something that makes me feel alive and enjoy the gift of being alive. That's what I would say about the Japanese culture. Again, just from the outside looking in.
Do you see the difference between Australia and the US or no?
I do. The US is uniquely corporate driven, I would
Also,
say. Yeah. And that's just, I travel a lot as well. I've been to so many different states and spoken at universities and organizations, and I've had a lot of exposure to these different things. And there is as the corporate mass market interest and unrelenting growth and expansion continues, the fulfillment of the individual and the uniqueness and elegance of the individual gets increasingly lost and diluted. And I think that's very, very sad. And it's a very hard thing to reconcile, because I'm a big believer in the free market, but the free market should never squash the individual right and development so much. So I see that so much more. Whereas in Australia, we are a lot more laid back. We do work hard. We've got a great work ethic, but we do have 4 weeks annual leave by law. We do have superannuation now, where your employer must pay to fund your retirement in every single paycheck. It is an outdoor active lifestyle. So it depends. If you have ambition and big professional aspirations, the US is an amazing place to be.
And you don't actually say shrimp on a Barbie, right? In Australia.
We actually, in Australia, I've never once seen someone drink Foster's. And
Foster,
I've never once seen someone put shrimp on the Barbie.
Yeah.
But I have an Aussie mate over here, and a couple of years ago, I went into his house. He lived in Venice Beach. And I went into his house on a Sunday, and he actually was cooking shrimp on the Barbie, and I couldn't let it go.
Okay.
I was like, mate, what are you doing? It was very, very funny. So, no, we never. Maybe there are some Aussies that do shrimp on the Barbie, but we definitely do
Not in
sausages and
Brisbane.
steaks. Not in Brisbane. Yeah.
No, isn't it sad that in U.S. market, like you said, it's becoming more and more commercial, industrial, right? And I think it's affected by the politics as well. And I think you said that it's kind of sad to say, ask a child, 15, 16-year-old, or maybe 13-year-old, what do you want to be when you grow up? But nowadays, if you ask a child, which I did, my son or my daughter, I said, in all our days, we want to be firemen or baseball players or cricket player or whatever. Right? But nowadays they say, I just want to be happy. Yeah. And that's so different. And for those people, if that's the case also in Japan and Asian market, it's hard to say, win the day. Pick 3 things that you thought about yesterday or whatever you just said. It's very difficult to, send that message. And for them to understand, for those people, what can you say to these kids,
Yeah, well, all the studies show that people are willing to take a pay cut, a big pay cut, to work for a company that has a mission and a purpose that the individual actually believes in, or that provides the work-life balance that so many people miss. So if you're a organization right now, I would say making sure that mission is clear and it's something that your employees can believe in is very, very important, as well as offering the flexibility for your people, where you might have someone say, all I want to do is be able to have 45 minutes to myself during the day to go and do a gym session, and I want to pick up my kids at 5 p.m. 4 days a week. Happy to get back online at 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. once the kids are asleep, but those 2 things in a day are what's most important to me. Every boss in the world, if that person is a great contributor, should be saying, thank you for the clarity about what it is that's important to you. Let's do everything we can to make that happen, which means no scheduling meetings while that person is away. Let's make that person really feel valued for who they are. And for young people, it's instead of who do you want to be when you're older, or what do you want to do when you're older, I think a better question is, what's the problem that you want to solve, or what's a problem that you're passionate about? And who are some mentors, some people that you believe in, who can start give you that sense of self-belief? They can transfer the belief. You might not need to believe it in yourself, but they can have the belief to say, you know what, I see the potential in you. I'm going to give you responsibilities that, yes, it's going to push you out of your comfort zone, but by the end of the week, By the end of the month, by the end of the year, you will hardly recognize yourself because of how skilled and valuable and impactful you have become.
Okay.
So that then, as the individual, means that I can focus on improving my skills, which means I have more value to be able to offer other people, which means your whole world opens up because opportunities find their way to you rather than you having to chase them.
I think people may call me a very skeptic, if you will, you know. And I do understand that you have gone through the corporate, you know, experience in the financial industry, no less, where I have gone through. And like you said as well, for me, I was not, it was not my first choice to become, going to the financial industry and in Wall Street investment banking. I was, like you said, with your experience, my father's business did not go well. And when I was an international student here, I was going to go to med school. I was a physics and chemistry major. I was interested in all these things. I wasn't able to as an international student. And when I gave that up and I had to go into business, I realized, just like you said, I listed all the things that measure the success as a businessman, especially in the financial industry. And I said, what is the measurement of my success? Money. All right. That's all it is. Right. So when I went into investment banking, I became very obsessed about how much I can make. What can I do to make that? And I would go into my office, you know, hour before everybody else. I will read all the prospectus. I will do all the studies that is required, which I used to do in college as a, you know, pre-med student. And I became like the youngest, you know, VP in investment banking, right? And people talk about ethics and culture in the investment banking or financial business or any business. And to me, it was bullshit, you know? You had to go do that politically correct thing. But at the end of the day, it was a bottom line, just to make money as much as you can, you know? So what you just mentioned about the corporate lifestyle and making it easier for the people to work, at the end of the day, in the capitalistic country or the world, you can't do that. You just go through this environmental, sustainable, whatever the bullshit that you have to go through. But end of the day, they're looking at the bottom line.
Yeah.
Right. For us, who basically gave up all the egos and said, you know what, there's more important thing than that, making money. Then you realize that. But in the corporate structure, and if you're working, all these people that may listen to you and go, I need this. I need to win the day. I need more to life than just going through and making money. You know, I want to do this, but I can't because of the structure that I'm in. What do you advise to those people, you know?
Let me talk to your boss. Yeah, let me talk to your boss. Like, what would the recruitment fee be in replacing an executive who's not happy, who leaves?
Right.
You know, if we're talking a couple of $100,000, like the cost of not doing this, it's an absolute no-brainer to be able to focus on this stuff. It really is. Goldman Sachs, I should say allegedly because I'm pretty sure it was them, but this is just what I read the other day. Was talking about they had a conversation that was transcribed or overheard or something. It was leaked, where they were talking about this idea that a patient cured is a patient lost. And that to me is just the epitome of this old school corporate mentality that I see in a lot like Big Pharma, where they want to give pills to prolong rather than actually solve the problem.
Right.
And I'm all about solving the problem instantly. The work that I do with companies and corporations is 1 month. It's not something forever. I'm like, give me 20 of your people, give me 50 of your people, give me 100 of your people, and give me 30 days. There'll be different people at the end of it. And you know what? We will measure it. I will show you all the data. You will see everything to show that they have more than 20% increase in productivity, work-life integration, satisfaction, retention, everything across the board. 1 month through focusing on just basic things that I will personally drive for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I've just a few more. Just it's been a long time. I'm very curious. I'm very appreciative. I appreciate, you know, sharing this with me and sharing with everybody. Where are you coming from? How you got there? what is your purpose, and what's your practice, to be honest with you. So right now with AI, right? Very soon, I mean, there's so many, layoffs in anticipation of AI coming in and taking over all these business. It used to be, in old days, it was a blue collar. Now it's white collar business as well, work as well. And with that in mind, the autonomy or the authority of the corporate executives or the company itself is going to be much stronger. They don't need these executives. They don't need 100 employees or 2,000 employees, anymore, right? So our lives as a regular person working at a corporation would not require to go to work, earn a living. And that makes, there were talks about the universal income, right? Universal minimum income to live. And people have to think about what's their purpose in life. They've been working 9 to 5, going to work, especially in the Asian market, in Japan. You have a business card saying, I'm a VP of this department. I work for this company. That's my identity. It's going to be gone. You're who you are. And what your interest is, what defines you, That's a big difference now. And it's a big shift in the mentality.
Yeah.
Right? And how can we survive in that world going forward?
Yeah, well, there's a big question for people, particularly if they have kids, is to ask themselves, is the life that you're leading today a life that you would want your kids to have? Like if they were in your footsteps doing the exact same thing 30 years from now, is that a life that you feel like, yes, that's the perfect life for them? And if it's not, you need to make some changes because you need to be modeling the life, the balance, the values, the commitment that you would then pass on to your kids. Mm-hmm. And there's an American personal development icon, one of my biggest influences. His name's Jim Rohn, R-O-H-N. He's an incredible speaker. And one of his best quotes is, work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Work harder on yourself than you do on your job. If you continue to focus on improving your skills, and that's not just skills, it's also your network. What are you doing on a regular basis to get out of your comfort zone, to meet people, to add value to these different people? Work harder on yourself than you do on your job. And it doesn't matter whether it's AI, just like it was the internet 30 years ago. If you can do that, continue to focus on yourself and improve your skills and the value that you have to offer other people and the relationships, and you'll never need to worry about these so-called digital tsunamis taking away your job. You'll always have value to offer.
So when you mentioned about your child, what would you say to yourself 23 when you were 23? If you were to meet your 23-year-old child, what advice would you give now that you know all these things?
Yeah, it's funny. There's a very good friend and mentor of mine, Dr. Mark Goulston, who passed away. He was a UCLA psychiatrist for 26 years, and I went on his podcast, and as part of that, he made me go and have a conversation with myself in that moment, in that rock bottom moment.
Wow.
Which was incredible because it's not something that I'd ever thought to do. And really, so many of the struggles that I have had in my life are related to negative self-talk. And it would be around being kind to yourself. That's it. Stop being so hard on yourself. Everything is okay.
Yeah, it's going to work out.
Exactly. Everything is okay.
Yeah.
It's such a big thing. And along the lines of that, I'm a big believer in a healthy urgency. So yes, everything is going to be okay. But get to work. Don't go home and watch a movie. Like, what's something that you can do now, right now? One of my favorite quotes from Napoleon Hill is, action is the real measure of intelligence. If you're serious about having a better life, do something now. Okay. Like if someone's listening and watching this podcast, what's an action that you can take or that you should hopefully have taken already as a result of what you've learned? Okay. All the people that I work with and the companies that I work with, I'm a big believer in just show me what you've done. I speak on stage a lot. I don't want to speak for 45 minutes and have you leave the room and nothing changes. Like, what are you doing now? What have you done in the time that I've spoken to you to improve your life? So that's really it. The conversation that I would have would be kind, but take action, because the quicker you can do that, the faster it compounds and the greater enjoyment and fulfillment you'll have in your life.
Okay. I just have two more questions. And
Yeah.
it's usually not like interviewing a person. I'm just like, I'm so fascinated by this and interested that I'm asking you all these questions. And I apologize if you feel like, being attacked or anything.
Go for it. I'm here, whether it's a punching bag or whatever you want.
But,
I'm here.
But I think the people will be curious to know about all these things. So your win the day. Your challenges of like, it became your business, your world, your brand. Before it became sustainable business, I'm sure there's a lot of challenges. Could you, share with us like all the things that you had to go through in order to, make a clear identity of what you're doing, what your message is, and become a real business, a viable business.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there are people like who wants to start a business or have gone through this experience as well. I would love to hear your experience of how you got to where you are in the business sense.
Yeah, it's a great question. So I was involved in one business about 5 years. We started it during COVID. When COVID hit, we started this business.
2020.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I realized after a couple, and we had success quickly. And when my son was born, so my second child, he had some health challenges. He wasn't sleeping well at all. It was just a very, very challenging situation for my wife and I, because him not sleeping meant that we weren't sleeping. Just a lot of things going on for a prolonged period of time. And it made me realize, I was lying in bed one night, about to fall asleep. I was lying in bed, my head hit the pillow, and this question popped into my head. And it said, is your involvement in this business strengthening you or weakening you? Now, I hadn't consciously asked myself this question. It just appeared in my mind. And just as quick, the answer appeared and said, weakening you. And then,
isn't it true? Another way of saying is, are you really enjoying what you're doing?
Yep, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the next, again, before I could even process this, the next question came into my head and said, is this your path? And the answer was no, before I could process it. And I was like, wow, that was the answer. And it's taken me almost 40 years to really, really trust my intuition. And I knew straight away then. And so I was able to, within a week, when my business partner came back, I said, look, I need to remove myself from this. I need to create some space so I can be there for my family, so I can be there for my son and my daughter. So I removed myself from everything. I was spread so thin. I looked at my calendar and I was just, every day I was stacked with all of these different things going on. And I realized then, after having a break for a little bit, I had a couple of non-negotiables as I thought about the rest of my life, really just designing a life that I wanted. And people so rarely do that. And it was a good opportunity and a reset to do that. I had a couple of non-negotiables. The first one was that I wanted to do one thing for the rest of my life, because I'd been involved in dozens of just about every industry and product that you can think of. I've been involved in over the years since I was 28 years old.
Because you're a generalist.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So my first non-negotiable was that I wanted to do one thing for the rest of my life. No more chopping and changing, one thing. And the second non-negotiable was that I wanted to be the best in the world at it. And then I realized at that point, I had Win the Day as a podcast for a couple of years at that point, and it was a passion project. It's something that I did for fun. I'd never gone all in on that. And I realized the answer had been staring in my face the whole time. Win the day, go all in on what that is. And I'd been, since that time, coaching CEOs and very, very, very successful people. And it made me realize that there's only so far they can go if their team is not along for the ride. Like, you can work with one person, but if they're working with a bunch of people who they don't know how to win the day, then there's only so far you can go. So I created something for their teams, which is now this Win the Day assessment, where someone gets allocated a win score and they get a personalized action plan for 4 weeks. And then at the end of 4 weeks, they redo the win score assessment to find out how much progress that they have made. And that way, the head of the company all of the managers, everyone in the entire organization has the win the day mentality embedded within the DNA of the organization that also impacts how they show up for their family when they get home. And that's this business.
I think that's a very, very unique and very key point where it's for their individual as well.
Yeah.
Right? For the family and stuff like that. Because I know there in Japan, there is a app for a company to measure the success of individual employees. And it's measured, and when I saw this, it's measured by different color scheme and stuff like that. It's called like an employee palette. Okay. And I felt like, oh my God, they have no identity, right? They don't care about individuals. They just like one measurement of each individual, you know, as a category. And it became impersonal.
Yeah.
And I think your system is different.
Yeah.
Right? From what I know, I hear.
And it also includes weekly coaching that I do with a group, small group, and then one-on-one coaching with me, so we can really dive into where you need. We can really diagnose and figure out where you need the most help. And if we look at medicine in the last 100 years, it's really been about disconnecting the mind and body. And if we go and look at what's happening in the corporate world, we've really extracted and disconnected the individual at work from who they are at home. All these different things. Exactly. All of these different things are focused on how they are as an employee. And it's a zero-sum game. It means if you give more as an employee, that you're taking away from who you are at home. And if you're giving more at home, it takes away from who you are as an employee. So my vision with Win the Day is, what if we could bring the employee and the individual who wants to be a parent or who is a parent and a spouse, what if we put them back together? So you're treating one human, one complete human, and you make that human the best they can be. And they have an individual purpose and more energy to show up. And when they rock up to your work, they have so much more energy, so much more excitement to contribute the best they can for your organization's mission, because they have that space. They feel like they've seen, they feel like they matter. And everything in their world is everything is working perfectly for them. So what I do with the win score, the real goal is to increase their win score by 20% in 1 month. That's it. So if someone's coming in, you know, maybe 60 out of 100, which is what we evaluate them at, a score out of 100, which is not a judgment. Some people have different seasons of life. If you are a new parent, or you're caring for an aging parent, or you're going through some medical issues, your score is going to be low, and that's okay. Let's just increase it by 20% in the next month by gaining a bit more clarity on who you are at your best and following these proven science-backed routines to help you do that.
Okay. So briefly, with that in mind, I was asking about the business side of it. How did you make that as a business, and how did you market it? Who did you talk to? And is it only in U.S. right now, or is it globally? Or
global at the moment? Yeah.
Oh,
I've been working primarily with companies in the U.S., but I'm happy to to go wherever it needs to go. It's a huge focus of mine where I can really, at the early stages of doing this, I want to inject that personal touch so much more. So I want to go around the world with this thing. I want to make Win the Day a global movement. So the way that I have done this and the way that I am doing this, because we're still very much in motion, is purely through personal relationships. I feel like there's an over-index on people being like, let's have this one lead magnet and paid Facebook ads and all of these different things. I would much rather focus on, look, I've got my own personal network. Let me have a conversation with these people who can introduce me to decision makers at these organizations, where we can talk about if there's a problem. Do you have the problem? Do you have the need? Do you feel like your staff are overwhelmed? If they are, awesome. Let's have a conversation and let's find out a good solution from there. If you're happy with what I'm talking about, then we go from there.
How can we introduce you in the Japanese market? I mean, is there like a track record here in the U.S., or is there any like a short version of what you do to demonstrate? How can we expose what you're doing into the Japanese society or Asian society?
If any, I would love an excuse to go back to Japan. Any excuse, I love it. I love it there. But I have all of that information. If anyone wants to reach out to me and my team, we can send through some information. We can set up a call. Like, again, I'm big on the personal touch, and I'm even bigger on the result.
Is it through your website?
Or my personal email. We can
or
get
here
that taken care of.
Podcast.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely, and we'll get that done. Yeah. The most important thing is I only work with organizations where I feel like we can get the result and you have the problem. If you don't have the problem, then there's much better solutions for a different problem that you might have. So that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to figure out. I have conversations with people up front to find out how urgent the problem is. And the questions that I'm asking is, how far away from their potential do you feel like your employees are operating?
Okay.
If you feel like they're at 90 or 95 or 100, awesome. You don't need me. But if you feel like they're at 60, 70, even 80, then let's have a conversation. And if you feel like they're at 20, 30, 40, then let's have an urgent conversation because, there's a lot of potential going on.
So is it mostly like if it's a big corporation, do you talk to the HR department or how? I mean, who do you talk to?
Yeah, it's different. I've spoken with CEOs and founders that I've worked with. Yeah, HR. There's even roles like chief people officer and things like that as well. So I've even spoken to people like the head of finance, chief of staff in finance roles where they're like, look, we have the specific needs for this one department is really, really struggling. And what I want to do is I don't like to come in and say, let's work with the entire organization. Let's work with 20 people. And what we do with 20 people provides us what I call organizational intelligence, that we can gather that data, which we can then use to extrapolate throughout the organization immediately before I even work, before I even touch those people.
Well, one of the things that Japanese corporation, especially a large corporation, are not keen of is a foreign company coming in. For example, I mean, I'm not saying you're this way, but you will go in there, spend 2 weeks with the employees, go through the training, and you're gone. Yeah. Or when shit hit the fan, you're nowhere to be found. That's what they're worried about all the time. Is there any way that they can, be assured of that? That you will always be there. You're going to spend time with them. Yeah.
All built in. If we don't get the result, get your money back. That's it. I stand behind what I do more than anyone else in this entire field. So a big believer in that. And some of the things that we have, I've had some people where was when I was talking to Uber, and the thing that was most important to them was having one-on-one coaching with me. Now that's a massive time commitment from my behalf. But if that's what they want to get the result, then let's do that. Some other companies have said we don't just want a 30-day measurement. We want to do a 60-day measurement to find out people are on track. I'm like, cool. Instead of doing 60, why don't we do 30, 60, 90, 120? We can do as much as you want to make sure people are on track. So, we have that stuff from bottom up, top down to make sure the results are there.
Okay. So the last question is, I want to go back to you personally. Your brand, Win the Day, is your brand, but your brand really is you, right? And you have to practice what you preach every fucking single day, right? Don't you feel the pressure of doing that? And how do you maintain your status quo or your high standard by other people's, measurement? Do you see the pressure? Do you feel the pressure on it? What is your day like? Every day, knowing that people are looking at you going, is he fucking winning the day?
So you know what? I'm here dressed up on a podcast, and if you see me speaking on stage, I'm wearing a suit. But
of course.
If I'm at home working on a writing project or not doing client work, I'm in a t-shirt and shorts, relaxing, whatever is most comfortable for me. There is a quote that I heard from an anonymous source that is it's so powerful, and I think about this a lot. It says that my greatest fear is that when I die, that the person that I am meets the person that I could have become.
Oh.
When I die, the person that I am meets the person that I could have become. Every day, I'm constantly thinking about how much potential that I have. And quite frankly, the biggest struggle for me is that I have 2 young kids who I love more than anything in the whole world. But there are a lot of demands on that. Again, I have a wife that travels a lot for work. So there's a big commitment for me. I'm needed a lot during the week in particular. And my wife just started an executive MBA at UCLA as well. So it's a big burden on me as I'm doing a lot of work and traveling myself. So something that I'm constantly reconciling with, in the interest of full transparency, because I think it's important to share that perspective, is that every day that I'm balancing this time of the commitments that I have on the home front, that I can feel my potential being diluted a little bit.
Right.
So that's something that I'm constantly focused on.
So the message is, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
It's okay to fail. It's okay to not win the day, but the fact is you're trying it.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm no one could accuse me of playing small. I take very, very big risks, very big swings. I love that. I'm always thinking bigger and doing that stuff. But at the same time, I'm acutely aware of the most important responsibilities, which is first thing in the morning when my kids need a calm presence to make sure they're ready to go and that they're grateful for what they have and who they are, and they know what values drive their decisions for the day. And they know that they
what age again? 3 and
3 and 6.
6.
Yeah. And they have the unconditional love from a parent.
Right.
I took my daughter to gymnastics. I do it every week. And I once saw a parent in there that made a joke to their 3-year-old kid. That, what did they say? They said, all right, now I'm going, and you might see me again. And the kid is like, what? And I'm like, you don't joke about abandonment when it comes to kids. It's like the number one fear that kids have is abandonment. So I'm looking for every opportunity to remind my kids that I
You'll
love
always
them.
be there.
Yeah, whether it's little post-it notes
do
on their
too.
lunchbox. Yeah, or before we go to bed, I always say with them, what do you want to say thank you to the universe for? Because I want that feeling of gratitude, but I'm also trying to get their heart rate down so they have a good sleep. Always values. If my kid asks for something, I always give them 2 and make them give it to the sibling first to make sure they learn the value of sharing, kindness. My worst nightmare is to have an ungrateful kid who doesn't understand the value of working hard. I want a kid who works hard and is kind and is compassionate and just wants to make the world a better place by being the best that they can be. I feel like if they can do that, then I feel like my job is done. But that doesn't stop me from focusing on doing the best I can.
When your kids are grown, and one day if they ever listen to this podcast, they'll be very proud of you and what you're saying, what you're doing to them. I'm almost crying with saying this, but
Thank you.
I think they will be very proud of you.
How old are you? How old are your kids?
29,
Yeah.
16, and 13.
Yeah. So you're a lot further ahead in the journey.
Yeah, but it's very, very difficult.
Yeah.
A lot of difficulty right now with a divorced family.
Yeah.
So yeah. So anyway, I really appreciate everything that you openly discuss with us. And I hope that I could be a conduit between you and the new market, and how they could benefit from what you're trying to do. And this book that you brought, the Japanese book here, go out and get it. And I haven't listened. I will read it, but I haven't read it yet. And hopefully they will learn something from it and they can benefit from that for their lives. And the world will be a better place.
Absolutely. And that book, just quickly, that's how Barbara Corcoran went from a waitress to building a property empire and appearing on Shark Tank, selling a business for more than $70 million. It's how Rob Dyrdek went from being a skateboarder to having, an empire worth $500 million. It's how John Lee Dumas had a podcast and went on to make more than $40 million just from having a daily podcast on entrepreneurship. So it's really not just the inspiration. That book, I'm very passionate about it because it is the blueprint into how 24 people were able to build an incredibly fulfilling life. So,
life.
Yeah.
Fulfilling life, not the business, but life.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. You don't want to have the business and lose the life in the process.
Okay. All right,
Yeah.
James, thank you. Thank you so much for
Thanks for having me
being
on,
here.
Sonny.
I hope you had a good time.
I did. I love it. Yeah, I don't want it to end. Let's keep it going.
But we had so much. He was so open, and I really appreciate you coming in and enjoying my drink and talking to me. Thank you so much.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you, my friend.
Oh.